Phones, iPhones. Oh, God. This meeting is being live streamed. I thought so.
I can hear you, Christabel.
Good Lord, hello. I don't understand this at all, but I'm going to try to launch the meeting. It doesn't seem to want to launch the meeting.
Well, there's a button that says launch meeting.
I've been pounding on it. Oh, wait, it's the thing that screen is on top of the other one, which is now coming up, but I don't have sound. How hideous.
Christabel, I can hear you, but I don't think the meeting has started yet.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm just being incompetent on my computer. Thank you.
Victoria, it's Paul. Can you hear me?
Hey, Paul, I can hear you. Yeah.
Great.
I wonder if I should do this all again. This thing, oh, there, it went away. And it became something else. Good Lord.
Christabel, you're viewing Jan's
Yes,
screen.
Christabel, I don't think that's under our control. That's
Can anybody tell me what to do? Wait, have I?
Christabel, nothing. You're going to be in the meeting. We're waiting for the meeting to start.
Okay.
So
Christabel,
you're seeing. We're seeing.
I just muted Christabel for simplification. Can everyone hear the room? Who's on Zoom?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
Everyone,
Hello.
I'm doing it remotely from my phone, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to stay for the whole thing, but here I am. Okay.
You sent a heads up. Thank you, Paul.
And do you have an in-person quorum?
Yes.
It looks like it
Okay, great.
easily.
We're well formed.
Many thanks to Chip for a curtain call
Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, Chip.
and completing the quorum. Kim was supposed to be sworn in last night, but it won't happen until noon today. And that's our story.
So, I mean, just while you guys are getting ready, you can ignore the C of A I sent for Ye Old Hudson. I was mistaken when Walter sent updated plans. I prepared a C of A, but you voted on that already. So
That's done and dusted. Thanks, Victoria. What's the time? 10:02-ish? Meeting's called to order. First agenda is to review the minutes from the meeting on the 10th. And thank you as always, Jen.
Yeah, Jen, that's like this one.
Hey, JS.
Hello, I'm just great to see you in person.
It's good to see you in person. Well, that covered that. Motion to approve the minutes is prepared by Jan. You and a second, sure.
Wasn't here, but sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thanks very much. We have one C of A vote. And do you want to recap where we're at? My understanding is that we asked the applicant to put together all the bits into a single package and to include scheduled materials and any other elements of that order. Is that fair in your view?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the C of A that was, I think, for 402.
Yeah.
And then would you like me to share the package that Walter sent?
I think however you want to do it, either the C of A is drafted by the city attorney, which probably, has, the complete elements, and we can ask the applicant, the package is here, to confirm that those elements have been provided.
Jan, do you have the updated C of A from this morning? V2?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm showing.
Okay,
Okay.
I'd like to start with that because that typically is what codes looks at first.
Jan, can you share that on the Zoom screen, please?
Yeah, let me just stop sharing. I have to just stop and then reshare. Let's see.
I mean, I think the board members should look through the packet to make sure they believe it is complete. And that there
Victoria,
are no other conditions needed.
or rather than relitigating stuff that's been already established.
Okay.
So let's go through what we asked.
Victoria, are you seeing this V2?
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
All right.
Can you make that just a tiny bit bigger?
Yeah.
Windows doors, yeah.
So good. Just to review, number one, the conditions are the new mortar will match existing mortar in color, composition, and substance. Number two condition is the patina on the brick of the existing buildings will be maintained. And any cleaning that's done will be non-abrasive and not debride the finish. Condition three, the applicant will return to the HPC for approval of the specification and details for all windows, doors, and light fixtures. And condition four is that the applicant will return to HPC for approval of sign materials and details. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, Walter, these are all physical today, right?
Yes,
Because there was a change.
and I apologize to Phil already. We stupidly printed two of the same sheets, so I've got a substitute sheet in there on the 11 by 17 size, and I'll print color full size, so you'll have a full size.
I
No
have-
worries, as long
I
as we
have the
get,
updated document.
terrific.
You want me to,
We have it here physically. Oh, you do.
Yeah,
You have the very latest?
it came this morning.
Yeah, cool. Go for it. Thank you.
Share.
It's gonna be on the screen, but we also have a physical copy.
Okay. This is your. Sorry. Okay. Victoria, can you see this?
Yes, we can see the plans.
Okay. You want to go?
Bit by bit.
Sure, well, you know, I don't think we have to dwell on it. I think I was asked to put together a record set that included the plans. And that obviously the plans will confirm what the elevation would show. And we were asked to provide additional material indications and to provide some additional details, hopefully all of which are, you know, fully dealt with. So there are plans and elevations in this set that hopefully confirm that
So this is the first floor,
basement.
isn't it?
First story. And again, you can see where all the entries are located. The purpose of this is to submit a consistent set that shows everything hopefully finally all together in one complete package. So the next thing is that to remove the elements there. So we see there are different elements of that roof and the other modifications. So hopefully this is very accurate.
This is material.
Yes, and it was absolutely confirmed by 16 people that the facade is marble. So we changed it to marble, and we think we found the original for it.
What is the original for it?
There's a rock crushing operation in Lee, Massachusetts that you see from 90 when
Yeah,
you get on the exit. That was.
So that's Lee
marble.
Yeah.
Both, 260, or Warren and this building.
Yeah,
Amazing. So,
yeah.
That's very cool.
yeah.
So I think that was the prognostication of Ron and Matt.
Everybody now says marble,
Okay.
marble, marble, yeah.
Terrific.
This is the fourth street.
And then again, I think the significance here is just been called out the flame finish, there was old marble and the slurry wash versus normal brick. And then, yeah. I think everything else pretty much as discussed.
So this is the alley.
That's the alley.
Yeah, this says, south.
But isn't that Fourth Street?
Yeah, wouldn't that be west?
So that's where the mistake was, sorry. And I put this through the hatch.
Oh,
And we're gonna do you this last one. I'm so sorry, the printers just put two of the same sheet in with that.
Oh, this is what.
okay, so the south elevation is Warren Street. and
Correct.
This
Yes, sorry,
is
just
labeled
Fourth
west.
Street.
yeah, so again, there's
So
two
they
of the
have-
same
I got it.
sheets in there, sorry.
Got it. Okay, so
This is
this sheet is going to be this sheet.
Correct, this is Warren.
And you have the electronic copy of this, which fortunately is correct. So I think, just to say something, this one shows that
Existing.
again, eliminated the third floor on the addition, and you can see what a change that makes in terms of the mass.
Have you, we're looking at the south elevation, the Warren Street. And the cornice of the, historic building on the corner. You've identified that white paint or stucco on brick.
Currently, it is paint on brick with kind of wood accents. And now that we've been studying the buildings at Hudson, that is so common, I think we'd like to do that. You mentioned the stucco, and also the mason said that he can't vouch for the condition of the bricks up under the eave. So actually, we'd like the option of either doing
Yeah.
white paint or stucco.
But historically, yeah, so it's interesting, you're referencing other buildings. How, were they actually painted brick?
Yes,
Some of them?
as a matter of fact, could you go back to the Fourth Street elevation for a second? So that white band there that exists on the row house is a painted white band with trim. And
But it's painted brick or painted
it's
trim?
painted brick. And I looked this morning, the row across the street from the parking lot where they have the farmer's market on Columbia Street, those row houses are all brick. Who knew, right? You have to actually get your binoculars out and look at it, but this is a brick band with trim and trim, and
And it's wood trim or
it's wood trim, but sorry, no, I'm wrong. Sorry, this is wood trim and this is an express brick. And that's what you see all over Hudson.
Yeah,
And the brackets, I was convinced that was a Victorian building because the brackets and everything are all integrated with this, but then when again, you look in binoculars, they just glued brackets onto
Yeah.
a white, and it must have been painted originally, Chip,
Yeah.
because remember we did that building at 238 Union Street 2 years ago, it's finally getting a C of O. That is a wood building, but it has the wood cornice continues the same material, so it was like the thing they did, but they
Yeah.
just changed the color.
interesting.
So in the new section in the center here on Fourth Street, is that gonna also be painted brick?
That will be the slurry brick.
No, but I mean the corners at the top,
Yes, that would be our preference.
be the same treatment. as
Yeah,
the
that would
other
be our
two.
preference. And again, this is the Historic Preservation Commission, so you guys get to decide, but I'm surprised at how unobservant I have been about the cornices in this town. And I checked around and do the brick versus wood test or plaster test yourself. Obviously, it's a way to save tons of money if you don't have to pay the carpenters to come.
But in the case of the infill building on 4th Street, that cornice, you're painting, you're proposing, it's not noted here, but what you're saying is that above the slurry wash brick will be painted
We
brick.
would, yes, sorry, we would
And there'll
match
be a wooden cornice.
above that, yeah.
Do you have details of that in?
We may, go to the later page.
Uh-huh. But I think one thing you might consider as a detail would be to either express the brick as you mentioned, or to add a piece of trim of some nature. Because if it's just slurry, if it's all one brick plain and the top is just painted white and the bottom is slurry, it's gonna look very flat.
Okay, we would definitely agree to put a piece of trim there. I don't have a problem with that. Or just express the brick, as you said.
Yeah.
Just push the brick towards that.
Walter, in terms of the slurry, is there gonna be I know these are renderings, but do you see there being a lot of some real contrast there in terms of the whitewashing?
So the thing that slurry does, and you guys are other architects present, so I'm not as familiar with slurry washing as they may be in terms of what it does, but I think you're using a similar mortar to wash the facade, so it takes away the contrast between the mortar and the brick.
I'm saying between the buildings.
Yeah,
So
no,
if we wanted that kind of modulation of.
It would definitely, in my opinion, make it very clear, you know, if the sunlight hits it, it'll do a totally different thing, because the brick takes it a certain way as a, you know, baked earth thing, and the slurry wash is like a lime cement-based thing with tint in it, so it's almost like your mortar washing. Isn't that basically what you're doing?
Well, I don't have any specific experience with it either,
Yeah.
but what I like about the concept is that you end up, as you say, sort of spreading the mortar color over the face of the brick.
Yeah,
And you end up sort of antiquing the brick. It makes it look like it had a previously eroded surface.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's kind of an interesting way to differentiate these masses that we've been talking about and to give it some sort of instant patina.
yeah. Well, also, I mean, you have to kind of under the Secretary of Interior guidelines, make a separation, but honest to God, you know, I saw this thing in Sydney, Australia that I thought the architect should have been put in jail for. And, you know, it was clearly a separation of old and new, but, you know, in a town like this, maybe it's okay to be subtle. You know, just change the texture. I think that would be my mantra moving forward. If I have to do an addition, if I can make it like the building that's going on, I'll just try and change it.
I'd imagine the slurry you can dial up, dial down the amount that you're affecting.
Yeah, and we'll do tests.
Yeah,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, and the color also,
Yeah.
because, you know, everybody's very particular about the mortars they use in Hudson, and I'm starting to understand why. You see, when they use the modern cement mortars, it explodes the rest of the walls, so you have to be super careful and use real soft stuff, and I think that's what we'll be doing.
Are the lintels over the windows of the infill? What material are those made of?
My client is listening in, but I'm going to say I believe they're marble, yes.
So you have existing stone lintels,
We're matching, yeah.
are the lintels on the corner building the same as the townhouses?
They are.
They're the same.
They're not exactly the same, but they're all marble.
Huh.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, again, I think I'm not gonna go on about it, but somebody pointed out, New Massachusetts, West Stockbridge, that's where the railroad came here, so it makes sense, they were bringing quarry materials down on the railroad. So it's all kind of interesting, fits together. So it wasn't like that expensive marble, it was like, let's get some more of those cheap marble lintels.
So Walter and HPC, do we need to add conditions asking that the lintel material be identified and that the trim piece on the infill building be identified?
So my approach to that would be that we've tried to show in these drawings that our intention is to match all the existing materials and treatments.
Is there a statement on there, Walter, where it says that?
isn't, I'm willing to make that statement now. I mean, that was always our intention, and that's what the drawings hopefully show.
Chip and I were just talking, I think the one thing we really would love to know, and I don't know if we hold up a certificate for this, but how you would intend to use the molding on the infill building. Because it's very clear on the other two, how when in the cornice. What you were just talking to Chip about, to have a molding that would separate the slurry washed brick from white painted brick. Would that be here? See, here it's in the middle and there it's both top and bottom.
There, I would think you put a ledge right there, right along that line, because remember, we dropped this, so now we're kind of with this condition where it's sitting on top, so that could be, that could be a plain board, right? And then it would work.
Or express brick.
Or express brick with like just
I think the important thing is to differentiate the plane of the brick that is washed and the brick that is painted.
we totally agree with that. And again, the way that it's done here is brick, same plane, wood trim added. Give us the option, we'll either add a very clean piece of trim there that will have a nice edge to it and cast a shadow, or if they're willing to do it with that, yeah. Great.
So maybe that should be added to the C of A,
As a condition. Okay,
just so we don't forget.
okay. I'm happy.
Can you reword it and say it slowly so I can hear it?
Can I say it?
Please, we're just trying to get it in the certificate.
Applicant agrees that cornice over windows on new addition facing 4th Street shall be project at least 2 inches from the face of the building to create a shadow and a clear joint at the interface of brick and the cornice.
Shall project at least 2 inches from,
The face of the brick to
We'll get to that.
create a shadow. I think that's what Chip is after, a separation and a shadow.
okay,
So that way it's left opening to underwater brick.
Back to that, I know we created this whole flurry. Yeah, but I'm not sure what.
Is this the page?
All right, there we go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, similarly, I think the detailing, we're just now discussing the detailing of the cornice at the infill building on 4th Street. That's the new construction on 4th Street. I think we have the same question for the detailing of the cornice on Warren Street for the new the infill building. And there as to exactly what is that material, how is the, we did pose the question previously about drainage, roof drainage,
Right.
Gutters and downspouts. Are we doing integral gutters to the building? Obviously, you need to do some discovery there to figure out how to do that.
Current
But
plan is integral gutters. So if we have to change that, we would resubmit and
Okay.
the gutters. This, again, I apologize, that is that's just a nice section that nobody got to draw, so I'm happy to add that to.
good, if you would put that in with this other detailing,
Yeah.
I think we need to.
If we were able
We
to
didn't know that,
complete the
see that.
record set with that, would that be sufficient?
Say that.
Just in other words, if I gave you the 2 corners, details, will that be sufficient? Is there anything else?
Position for, well, there are other items on the conditions on the
On the list.
certificate.
Yeah, okay.
So we just add to that list, I think, that we would like to see detailing for those 2 cornices.
Okay.
Victoria, is that satisfactory to you? It might simplify things a little bit to simply request additional detailing for the cornices of the 2 new infill buildings.
okay. I'm gonna write that up as a return.
Is that is that good for is
I'm trying to translate a couple different ways. One is this is the reference doc, and the other is we have to have, to the degree that we can, in the certificate of appropriate, something that code enforcement can actually follow.
Right.
And that's where there's drift between cup and lip from time to time. Because if Craig's not able to follow it, it's not.
I have no idea.
So I prefer if we're talking about something like that, if there's latitude for the Walter, then we should indicate there. We'll choose between the following, or if it's more specific, I'd like to get it in writing as much as possible on the certificate.
rather than to have a return. But we already have them returning for the details for the windows and that's
Windows and doors.
Windows, doors, light fixtures, signage.
correct. Number 3.
Correct.
So
So I would like to add to that document
Yeah.
to the degree that we can.
Perfect. Yes, exactly. That's what I actually.
We're on the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the code enforcement is very much part of this, and it's gotta be clear for them.
Right.
Victoria, you'll add to that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm marking it up, Jan, and I'll share it when we're done and we can talk through the conditions.
That's perfect. Thanks, Victoria, for doing that on the fly.
We continue on this?
Yeah, your floor plan is really the roof plan, right? Your site plan is your roof plan.
Yes, that's.
But there's no indication of the integral gutters in that. Should we note in this that also that the gutter, you've stated, Walter, that the gutters are gonna be integral to the building and not surface applied.
So that is our plan at the moment, not having done the construction, drawing, yes. That would be our design intention is made that.
Okay.
What I think Walter said is that the gutters will be integral unless some issue occurs that prevents that, in which case Walter will return again for a certificate on the gutters.
Right.
Fair, like, for instance, if we do the, I can't remember what the term is called, but that kind of blind bead where you can get a gutter. Sometimes they bury the gutter and take the leader in the wall.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. Somebody might say to us, don't ever do that because of whatever, and we can't.
Well, right now, in the documents that are before us show no exterior gutters or
Correct. That
downspouts.
is correct.
So if that changes,
You come back,
Right.
but we gotta recognize that it, part of this process is a bit of discovery.
Of course.
Put it together.
In that
Sure.
vein, I don't think the roof material is identified on these plans.
All right, well, certainly I can just throw that out because the only visible roof is the existing roof. And our intention at the moment, honestly, is to do a nice asphalt shingle there, like a timberline asphalt shingle. And I'm sorry that's not on there. I thought that was in there.
I can't see, that's not what's on the call outs? No,
No.
Okay.
Must have dropped out. So we did have it in earlier things. It was, we've come before this board a number of times with the timberline. The fairly innocuous ones that we put on almost all the houses because they tend to disappear. I don't see any value in putting an expensive material up on the street because.
what's there now?
It's asphalt shingle. It's a black asphalt shingle now, we softened it up a little bit, but, as I say, we've used the timberline on 6 buildings we've done here, and its virtue is you look at it and say, I want the roof. Don't see the roof.
Yeah. You have a base on the addition, we're viewing the north elevation from Cherry Alley or Prison Alley. under the under the blank wall,
Yeah,
what is that material?
I'm sorry, I believe that's concrete and that's just a, a truck guard, like a wheel guard. 'Cause we didn't want to put the soft material down in the street.
So it's concrete poured, well, I still don't understand what it is.
So it's a masonry wall that would, rather than having the corrugated metal on it, it would have like, a finish, like a cement finish.
I see. So it's
Finish. So that it's not, like if it gets dinged up, metal, you have to put the panel on, that you could either replace it or it wouldn't look bad if it's dinged up.
So it's flush with the framing above.
It's actually, yeah.
So it's like a large foundation.
The metal will stick out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not proud of the,
No.
it's not
the
like a
metal-
water table, it's like a,
No, sorry, the metal.
raised
slightly-
foundation.
It's not an aesthetic detail, it's a protective wall detail. Although I don't think it's unaesthetic, but.
not as the.
Okay. All right, so what would you do?
Oh, yeah, it's your call, it's your building.
We just need it identified.
We just need to have it identified.
I'd say stucco on a block masonry.
That bump guard down below
Yeah, what that little thing is.
is stucco on masonry?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Walter, the stairs, stairs on the south elevation, I guess,
Yeah, sorry, one down. There it is.
the side of that kind of flanking side of it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be bluestone too.
I think we're showing that as a stucco at the
Is that
moment.
what that is? Okay.
Yeah, we're showing that as probably the same stucco Chippy was just asking about. And, it would be bluestone trap steps, and they would overhang and then bluestone tread. Sorry, landing. And then we're trying something new on the steps. We're going to try and put the metal railing on the outside and have it come up on the side. Really good. So actually, that's an outgrowth of an idea that we had because it's very hard to get the gap where the step opens to close down for code. So this is something we're going to try to see if that's an aesthetic solution to that.
I'm sorry, I misheard, what did you just say to do what?
So these railings here, we have been taking down here. And in fact, it creates a kind of interesting geometry problem. So we're gonna try these points and projecting that out there like that. But this is very similar to that railing we did at 25 Union Street. Remember that we had to come back a couple times, because they're embarrassed about it because they kept building things at different heights and we kept trying to get the heights to align. But this is a better version of that railing, is what I'm trying to say.
Can't hear.
They're thinking.
But. Right?
There's a note that says, bluestone risers and sides, no visible concrete.
Then I misread the drawing, and that's what we're doing.
But they're different. The head-on view, front elevation is
Right.
different from the side elevation.
Well, actually, this is a cross section, this is the side
Oh,
elevation,
okay.
and it's, in the same note applies there.
Okay, good.
So in this proposed design, it's bluestone all the way around, all
I'm a
sides.
little confused, but I'm going to say yes. I can't argue with that. That's not what I thought, but yes, I'm gonna say that that's right. So it's all bluestone.
Is that on the call out, Chip?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the reference is Bluestone, good.
Thank you for catching that.
For the facade that opens onto Warren Street, these floor to ceiling windows, they open in the summer, the idea that those could open and then you
Yeah.
have a kind of complete.
Well, again, I think we're gonna come back with windows and doors, but it would be my hope that, yeah, you could open it up like you do in, a lot of cities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be nice.
All right.
And on the last sheet, you have details for the metal.
Yeah.
And the inside corners and the outside corner detailing of how that works, and presumably the window trim that you're illustrating in the elevations will be similar to the outside corner
Yeah,
detailing.
yeah, it's,
What is the color, what is the finish of the corrugated siding?
well, that's a really interesting question. Before I answer that, I was not prepared to answer that question because I didn't think the colors were an issue, but, I'm assuming that we will paint it. But it also could be exposed corrugated metal in the community. So I guess I would ask the board how you guys would feel about that. What if it was just galvanized zinc coated metal?
Or if it were just left to rust,
Well, that would be galvanized zinc coated metal.
but ungalvanized.
Oh, I promise you, if you galvanize it, it'll still rust.
Yeah.
Have you seen my old corrugated metal house?
No,
I'll send you a picture.
yeah, okay. Is it galvanized?
It is, yeah, but it's not galvanized.
Delete that comment.
Does it? Well, I think that, I think it's important, because what's more attractive to me anyway about it not being painted is that if it's galvanized, it has a variety of colors in it. It's not an opaque paint that is a solid body. And so I think that it would be more successful as galvanized or even as ungalvanized, as Corten, as a Corten steel. Finish
I agree.
that would have that patina that would allow this. It's a lot of sheet metal. I mean, it's a lot of corrugated, and having it with a patinated surface, whether galvanized or Corten, is going to help it recede.
I would concur on unpainted. It's an authentic material, it changes, it's interesting.
That would be our preference too.
I think it lives better with brick. They're both.
I agree, they are what they are.
And it's kind of Hudson, because if you go up that alley, we're not.
There's that
introducing
beautiful
any more.
wall at Second Street.
Does the call out consider unpainted?
It doesn't say either, but we were gonna be happy for the C of A to say unpainted.
Let's agree on painted
Yeah.
galvanized.
Victoria, did you hear that?
I got that. Thank you. I think we're gonna have to go through these again.
Thanks so much, Victoria.
All right, are you ready for me to put the C of A up?
Yes, I'll stop sharing.
Victoria, could you read some of that for the blind?
Okay, so we'll start. So the first one, new mortar will be matched to existing mortar in color, composition, and substance. 2, do you want me to say on existing buildings?
Yeah, I think so, definitely, yeah.
Okay. The original patina of the brick on existing building shall be maintained, and any cleaning that is done shall be non-abrasive and shall not debride the finish. 3, applicant shall return to the Historic Preservation Commission for approval of specifications and details for all windows, doors, and light fixtures. 4, applicant shall return to Historic Preservation Commission for approval of sign materials and details. There's some sample letters up there, but that's not being approved today. Applicant shall return to the Historic Preservation Commission for approval of cornices over windows on the 2 new infill buildings. The applicant shall consider a projection of at least 2 inches from the face of the brick and create a shadow. 6, materials for stone lintels on infill buildings to match existing. 7, I say existing lintels. 7, building gutters shall be integral. Any exterior gutters require approval of the Historic Preservation Commission. 8, roof shingles are asphalt timberline shingles. 9, the water table on the north elevation is stucco on masonry. And 10, corrugated metal shall be unpainted, galvanized, or ungalvanized metal.
Nothing came up for raising the hand.
No, it isn't.
Commissioners?
Is my voice being heard now?
Yes.
Yes, I had a question. There's nothing stating the details of the installation of the marble. And I was a little disturbed by the drawing because the end pillars of marble seem to be considerably different in width to the others. And normally that's not how it's done. And also, there is a third pillar there. There are 2, one on each side of that doorway. And then there's one on the corner where the building meets with that fence that has the mural on it. And I think, that one shows you what the end one would be like. And it's really more in keeping with the others. And I think there are other details about the marble installation that should be discussed and brought out because, that could go different ways. And I think it should be determined in advance. And I didn't hear anything about that.
May I respond to that?
Please do.
So those are good points. We have provided our proposed details for the marble, and I think it was you who actually said it would be okay to suggest a veneer. So that is what we are proposing. In terms of the corner, you're absolutely right. In the existing building, it appears as if all of the piers are exactly the same size. We spent an unbelievable amount of time taking the existing opening, taking the dimensions of the building, and trying to get everything to work up so it lines up. And I'm going to defend myself by saying, if you go to 501 Union and look at how those storefront windows in the ground floor, after all that fidgeting, how that ended up, it worked out. So we have an endless number of options here, and we could certainly make all of those piers identical if the board wants us to do that. I would simply say that it'll change all of the other things so that none of the openings will line up with the windows above. And that may not be important. So, we don't have any photographs that show frontally what the existing building looked like. So this is our best guess, and we're willing to change it anyway. Anybody who feels they have a better idea wants us to.
Don't say that.
Okay. In other words, look, let's say at this point, this is a community-based design, and I don't mean that facetiously. I think everybody in this room, everybody in the telephone has had a tremendous influence on this process, and I have given up all pretenses of having an ego on this. I just want a satisfactory.
It's not ego. You said something important before. You were trying to optimize the position, I believe, of the windows and doors so that they were consistent.
Oh, actually, that is not a correct thing to do with a building of this nature. The Parthenon doesn't do this. The things do not line up. The ground floor openings do not have to line up with the openings in the mid portion of the building, nor at the attic. They can all be,
And then
you
I'm
know,
asking-
it's a different unit. It's the base. This is a tripart division, and it doesn't have to come down and be in a straight lines up and down. And in fact, it's more pleasing and nice when they aren't all, you know, everything isn't so tightly lined up.
It's not a grid.
It,
That's Crystal McCall.
yes.
Walter, what were you
It's-
trying to tell me, Mike?
So.
So this is not a design concept that fits in with Greek architecture. This kind of thinking became more prominent in the Renaissance, and they did some rather foolish things. They tried to line up the interior of the Parthenon, the Pantheon inside during the Renaissance. Unfortunately, they didn't finish the job. The things do not line up.
I'll concede the point that they don't have to line up. I would like to say we have a modern construction code that requires us to put this building back up on something that'll hold it up. We thought this was a nice idea to fatten the corners slightly. What he's saying is that he would like this to be the same proportion of the corner of the building. We
More
think that-
nearly, it doesn't have to be 100% identical, but it should appear.
So
to-
I'm going to make a statement because I'm at the point where I'm willing to change anything to get a certificate of appropriateness. So.
Well, I would be very happy to see it conform to more the way that Third Street is.
Certificate of appropriateness, and they agree that your idea is a better idea, we will agree to change the drawings.
You're asking for a whole knock-on effect of consequence in the construction. That's not.
So what is the correct procedure?
The correct procedure is somebody's putting out an idea, let's react to the idea, but I don't want an applicant, any applicant, to be in a position of having to reconstruct a design based on an idea. The idea stands on its own value. We're supposed to be judging appropriateness. What you're doing is obviously appropriate, and now we're down to some nuance, in my opinion.
This is more than a nuance, I'm sorry.
We disagree.
And we do have a model for this. The building at Third Street and Warren is a very good model. And those openings do not line up with the windows in the way that, you know, a grid plan would do. And it's not the right thing to do. It's going to, you know, it will be a sort of make do instead of doing it. What we know is to be the right thing. And as I pointed out, the column on the corner by the fence that's got the painting on it is there, and it's not wider to that degree.
That column, Walter, does that marble column on the corner as he's describing, does that exist there? I don't know.
That is there. It is there, and you know, this is the advantage of going back after they peeled stuff off.
What is
precisely? Let me say.
Do you know the width of it?
It is that wide. It's right here. It has a narrower cornice, a piece of marble that we're showing here coming into it. That actually, no, wait, it's not there. It can't be there. No, it's not there. I'm wrong. It's here. It's here. It can't be at the corner because it has a arcade in, and then there's another piece, quite in photographs. I'm not sure I agree with him that it's on the corner. He might be right, but it has an arcade that continues. And that's not what the historic photographs show. Right, in other words, the marble that bears on it only bears on half the surface. So there's another piece
On
of
half
marble.
of the post.
There's another piece of marble that came in, so I believe he's talking about this one, but I could be wrong.
Well, let me ask a question, because we were looking at that detailed sheet that you have for the storefront.
Right.
The value, a great value of that particular sheet, if everyone wants to turn their attention to what is drawing A500, is that it shows the depth of the windows. I think this was something that we had discussed previously.
Correct.
That the windows are pushed back, the windows and doors are pushed back from the front plane of the marble. As you mentioned, the marble being a veneer, and as we look at the corner, the bottom left-hand drawing on this sheet A500 shows that the marble is on the 4th Street side. The marble is flush with the brick. And I presume then that you're proposing that the marble on Warren Street is also flush with the brick above.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
And is that what is in evidence of the extent marble that's there?
Happily, yes.
It is.
It is.
So it was intended to
It
be
is.
flush.
So on, sorry, I got my address is mixed up on 361 Street, which is the one everybody keeps talking about. You have the marble arcade, you have a little cushion block detail here, and then you have a little detail there. On our building where there is extant marble, and from the photographs, it looks to me like it has a little band, right, which we will reproduce. And that would just be something that covers the brick, right, the joint. Like, I'm not even sure what it is. I'll bring a photograph. And then this is more or less flush, right?
Yeah, so I don't quite understand what you're saying, but are you saying there's a kind of a diminutive capital to the top of the column?
On the building down the street, there is a diminutive capital cushion.
And does it project beyond?
It does, but this
Yeah.
one, I don't believe had it. So they're not identical buildings. It's a different, but I totally agree, having looked at the two buildings. The thing that he's talking about where this is flush with the brick on the side.
Yeah.
That does that also. So you have a relief on Warren Street and you go around the corner and you can run your hand down and nothing projects.
Right.
So we're just basically trying to mimic that.
Uh-huh.
I thought the root of what we're talking about is the distribution of the openings. on
It
each
is,
side.
but I think what this question, which I think is a perfectly valid question about the thickness of the marble on the corners. It's leading us into further details that are not evidenced in the drawings here.
Whether
And
it's
so
original or not.
I'm trying to figure out what's original. What our other models in town can inform us as to a proper way to detail this. And I'm actually intrigued with the fact that the potential would be for all of the posts of marble to be the same. Because I think that may spring from an original historic precedent. And I think it's good to consider that. I'm pleased to hear you say, Walter, that you are planning to install that diminutive capital, that cushion block that I think you mentioned, which is would be at the top of each of these columns. It's kind of a diminutive capital, right?
So just to be clear, and I'm willing to discuss that too, I don't think this building had that. That's what I was trying to say.
I said,
260 has a little cushion block, so it looks more like a capital. This one looks like it was more like a plain arcade. And again, a lot of my belief is based on that photograph that's at a very oblique angle, and there are a number of posts and things in the way. So, I think, not to drag this out, but one of the discussions that we've had in the past is we're trying our best to derive a set of details on.
This is like swimming, but with extra effort. I hope I don't get any water on my.
Carol,
That
can
would
you
be
mute,
embarrassing.
please?
Sorry.
I'm not sure I agree, but, yeah, so that was a good train of thought that I just completely grew out of my head. But, you know, what I'm trying to say is this, that we do a set of drawings based on existing conditions that are observable. Then even at the time we've been having these discussions, contractors are moving through the building, we're moving first from the inside and now more from the outside. So we're answering these questions with you in real time.
Yeah.
And I guess my question is, how can we get a process where we can get a survey today? I think we're doing this, make adjustments, and then keep going, because, you know, when we do the construction drawings, there'll be a whole set of other considerations that weren't under discussion here. There'll have been budget reviews. Somebody will say, why don't we do this instead of that? And to the extent that and let me be clear, one of the reasons I'm so desperate to get this done is this becomes the document that guides our process.
Sure.
So this is super important, but it's not the end of the process.
Correct. I think it would be terrific to, as you are discovering more about the precise detailing of this exterior marble, it's fantastic that you found the original quarry and the original material. From the, yeah. Then, you know, I think that it's, I think that it's worthy of study, and just as you are going to be continuing through with the structural aspects of this, to look at what is the precise detailing. Is there a cushion block? Is there evidence of a cushion block? I think it's valuable to look at the original photographs and to fine tune this. I think we all agree that the storefront concept that you put together here is appropriate and valuable. What we're talking about are some very narrow slices of details that you're going to execute anyway. So I think we're just simply asking you to come back with those details and to continue to explore the validity of the existing samples that we have in town to help guide us through this process. Because if we have the opportunity here to do a really legitimate restoration of this storefront, I think that'd be terrific for the building. I think it'd be terrific for the.
Let me jump in, Walter. We already have on the certificate the indication that you have to come back to the commission on the fenestration and doors. Is that correct? Roughly correct? The windows, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it legit to move this forward, that when you come back with the fenestration, as you discover stuff, you will have additional detail on the model?
I think that would be great, and I will agree to change the storefront if you guys think.
Don't go there.
All right.
Just say that when you come back with the fenestration solution recommendation, you will in that same meeting address the marble at greater specificity, whether it's got a little foot on it or thicker, thin, etc.
Can I just make one comment? When you look at 260, it looks really good, right? And Jim, can you just search for 260 Warren Street on Google and it will pull, we can actually look at the facade directly. I think it's really instructive to us. I don't think it should be imitated because it's there, but to, was it Matt or Ronald, whoever spoke, the necessity for a direct correlation between the window and the door is not.
Is that the maker?
That's my photographs.
Oh, okay.
Warren, it's the wine bar.
Yeah, one more part.
Yeah, you go, you're on the right-hand side of your screen.
260 Warren in Google and it's just pull up in Google.
Oh, wait, no, that isn't actual.
Okay. Just a sec here.
We can, yeah, text it to you. Hey, Walter, I mean, maybe if you're open to it, could you just render it? The same thing and we could just look at it, like, if it.
Yeah, but you know what would be great for me, because, I'm coming back in a few weeks trying to get my client's authorization. If I came back in a month and had all of this stuff you guys laid out, and did it after I had a nice P of A and could move forward.
I think Bill is giving you a path there,
Okay,
all right? But I think it would be very interesting to have insurance.
I agree with John and take the path, Walter.
okay, I'm taking it. Always take the path suggested. Or something.
We don't have to solve this in this meeting, but the goal right now is to get the project going forward with as much of the things that we can agree. And to confirm the fact that the applicant will come back to us under certain specifications, which I think we can outline in the CBA.
Wonderful, thank you.
Where did you send it?
Otherwise, we're gonna get stuck in this doing our own design. I don't want to do that.
Jan, can I
Yes.
put up the C of A again?
Okay. Okay, this is not, okay, yeah, I'll stop sharing.
Okay.
Thank you all for going through this process. I know this is difficult.
It's not difficult, it's wonderful.
Very
Yeah,
good.
it's important.
It's important, we're all happy. Yeah. You've done a fantastic job at this building.
Thank you. We've done a fantastic job.
Okay, so it now says in condition 3, applicant shall return for approval of specifications and details for all windows, doors, and light fixtures. The applicant shall also provide additional information on existing storefront marble at the time windows and doors are reviewed.
Perfect.
Is that okay, folks?
Yes.
Then let's move on. May I have a motion? May I have a motion to approve the CBA as modified in this meeting by the city attorney?
Yes.
You in a second? Thank you, Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, done.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
What do we got next?
Columns rather than
We are on,
a more modern.
We're on 410 Warren Street.
thanks very much. Let's go on, folks, with 410 more.
That same.
So my done.
You are, except there was a query from Craig on another project of yours. I'll just read it to you and we'll follow up on it.
I have a prince for you.
Okay. Craig's query for you was on 446.
Yeah.
Oldie Hudson.
Yeah.
2 comments. The address on the email is 446. The plans are marked 449.
Yeah.
Right. Which is correct. I just changed it on the 436.
It says 449 on the CFA.
I'll get that straight. Yeah.
Could you correct that, Shabak?
Yeah. Let me tell you right now, that's incorrect. I don't know if you noticed this, but I have a lot of dyslexia. It didn't prevent me from becoming an architect.
Never
It
noticed it.
certainly messes up our address.
Let's take this offline, but there's a follow-up on that building. We need to get the address correct. And then Craig had some other, we can connect you out of the meeting.
That's Old Hudson.
Yes. Yeah. What is the correct address?
I'm looking.
I have 449.
449, that's what I thought. Okay. So that's what the C of A says.
The CFA that was stamped was 449. The one that from 2 weeks ago that specified solar panels that were withdrawn from the applications. Yeah.
Just real quick, if you can hear me,
Craig, yeah, go ahead.
the email that Walter sent me, it says in the subject line of the email, 446 Warren Street, but in the paperwork, it says 449. I just want that clarified. The paperwork to the email, or is it the email to the paperwork?
449.
And all I said is just correct that to match. So that way, when I put it in the computer file, it goes to 449 and not 446.
I'm
A
very
simple correction.
Of looking up for wrong addresses. It's not fun.
Okay, sorry, Craig, so sorry.
So
Great.
next up is 410 Warren Street.
White Whale Sign. Who's here to speak for White Whale Sign?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt Kasavich from Matthew Signs.
Welcome.
Would you like to share your screen, sir?
I don't have anything to really show. It's just they just want to do like a whale hanging off the side of the building.
Hold on one second. We're gonna try to grab the submission and put it up on the screen for everybody to look at. And then you can talk us through it.
Okay.
You find it, Janet? I emailed it to you on March 10th.
Yep, I got it.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. So they have like this whale that they brought into us, and they just want to hang it off a bracket on the side of the building there, up by that window above their sign that they have.
Is that scale right?
Now they're bigger.
It's life size. What's traditional?
Two other things. It's terrible, Miranda, sorry.
Real quick, Matt.
Yeah.
I thought that was getting attached to the building, not the bracket. I didn't know there was a bracket involved. If it's a bracket, then it can only be 12 square feet, the size of the whale.
Yeah, it's not big. I mean, I can measure it right now. I have it in my shop.
They're gonna need to know that because I can't approve it if it's more than 12 square feet. If it's a wall sign being attached to the wall, then it's 1 foot per 2 linear feet of the wall.
Yeah, no, it's a small. I mean, it's not big. It's 4 feet maybe. Just walking through here.
Sorry about that. I was under the impression it was a wall sign.
No, it's an actual carved whale. I mean, it's probably 40 inches in length. I mean, can you see? I have it here.
Can you turn your camera so we see the whale?
Yeah, it's about 4 feet long. Can you see it?
What's the overall square footage of it?
I mean, it's 4 feet long, and at the biggest part, it's 18 inches tall. From the fin, from his fin to the hump there is about 18 inches.
I mean, is the issue gonna be precedent setting?
That should be all right.
And stuff out of everything?
That's within the size requirements.
Okay, looks good.
The only thing I see is a metal bracket would look a lot better. Separate side, just because you focus on the bracket more than you do on the sculpture, but that's.
Craig, any code issues on this?
No, I addressed them. I had to do some research on it, but it's within compliance of the code.
Cool. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
See a better angle of it there now? I think I turned my phone. I can't see what I'm showing you though.
That's all right. I think we're seeing the screenshot that Jan picked up, not anything from you.
Okay.
He's over here. I just can't.
Oh, we can't enlarge your camera view, I don't think.
All right.
You can if we stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can stop sharing.
Let's try again.
Okay.
Who wants to see the whole whale?
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna turn the screen around.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like a carved. It's just gonna hang off of a bracket.
Yeah.
That's great.
In this position relative to the building adjacent. You know, it's,
Can you show us where it's positioned on the building again? Or are we gonna do that?
Okay, I can hear them.
see, it's actually hanging over the property of the Evans mansion. I mean,
Correct.
Craig, are we impinging over somebody else's space or?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Who owns that property next door?
Chip had raised a question about the property next door. Are we hanging over their stuff?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, because again, I thought it was gonna be a sign attached to the wall. I didn't know it was gonna hang from a bracket, so that's something they're gonna have to provide to us.
What's the code on that? If it does impinge, that's kind of an issue.
Well,
Well, yeah,
Matthew,
it can't encroach over somebody's property line.
yeah. Matthew, do you understand?
Yeah,
Okay.
can they put it on the front if they want to?
The problem is when you put it on the front, that's a zoning issue because one business, one sign that faces the front of the property. So that would need a variance. Because they
Okay,
already have one sign.
it already has one projecting sign now on this street, apparently.
okay.
Right, right.
Oh, yeah.
I think a projecting sign on the street, of course, we have those and it's appropriate, and I particularly like signs that are not graphic, that are sculptures, if you will, not just flat signs. I think it'd be very attractive on the front of the building. But I think on the side of the building, with it overhanging the Cornelius Evans mansion property and visually confusing the mansion with the commercial aspect of this, I think it's not appropriate on the side.
What would be required from the applicant to hang it on the front?
Replace.
A variance. Or replace the existing sign.
The code, the commercial zoning district for that section of the city says you only can have one commercial sign on a building fronting a street.
Okay.
One per business. So this is one business, one sign fronting the street. That's why they're allowed to put it on the side, because it's not fronting the street. But if it fronts the street, they only can have one.
To the
They can
applicant,
apply for a variance.
I understand. Would the owner be willing to give up the traditional sign and hang a well?
I can ask them.
Okay.
I mean,
don't
are
think-
we considering it a sign even though it doesn't have any wording on it?
Yes.
Under the definition of a code, it's still a sign.
Okay, I'm not seeing how we go forward. I think you gotta talk to the owner. What I'm hearing is that you can't impinge on the other property. The commission would absolutely consider it, the whale in front. But if you put the whale in front, you can't have that sign.
If the owner of the property agrees, is there an issue? Like if they went to their neighbor and said, "Did you be okay with this? Is that enough for us, or is that?"
No, I think the code says you just can't impinge.
Okay.
Maybe if they turned it so it was parallel to the siding and put a bracket, it wouldn't extend over the property line. That's another option.
You can't see what it is, kind of. I don't know. I think they gotta go back. Anyone
I
else?
think it's for them to sort out.
Yeah.
Could they do a hybrid of where they have the whale and they have the sign that actually has the lettering, like whether it's part of the bracket or below it, just so that they do get the name, that's an option. I mean, it is just a cohesive sign with a sculpture as part of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's either or.
That's interesting.
As long as it's under the 12 square feet, I'm assuming it's,
Yes, that's important.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
I think you gotta go back and give this a think and stay in touch with Craig on dimensions and stuff. Oh, we're not trying to not do this. I think it's cool, but you're not there yet.
Okay, I'll talk to the owners.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Another sign for brewery at 716 Union.
Let's see. Joe Bikert representing Union Street Brewing Company.
Hello, Joe.
Would you like to share your screen, sir?
1 second. Did you pull it up already?
I will. I'm sorry, what was the number?
I can
716.
I can share if needed.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can everyone see that?
No.
Oh,
Still no?
Still no.
no.
Permission to share?
Yeah, no, he does. I have this.
It's got a green, it asked me if I want to share.
Yeah. Let me see if I can do this for you. Okay.
Here we are.
Is this yours?
Oh, that is it.
Okay.
Okay. So what we are proposing is, it's a bracket sign. It's got, the projection is, or the sign itself is 32 inches by 52 inches. They are custom brackets with structure. If you continue to scroll down, what you'll see is that the sign bracket itself, up a little bit, has two brackets that connect the two, or two, there's structure behind the sign panels. There's two sign panels mounted back to back with structure behind to create a rigid backer. And the unique piece is the very slim custom fabricated hood with LEDs that are, if you take a look at the 12 off to the right here, yep, the 12-inch wide hood that's created, only 2¼ inches, and then there's two LED bars, one on each side, that are directed down to light the sign panels on each end, or on each side. The sign is going to be installed directly over top of the door. You'll see that on the left side. That's the, straight on location. So you just see kind of a blade sign for that.
I'm confused if you would go back down, please. It looks like there's a sign on the right that is not above the door. I don't understand what is that? I understand the image on the left and the door, sign is over the door, but that doesn't look like it's the same position as the one that's shown on the right.
I believe sign locations. I think. Hold on one moment.
We're approving two signs, one on each flank.
Is that what he's asking?
It looks like they're two separate ends.
Yeah.
There's two. There's one on each side. So we've got two different elevations.
So the one on the left is the alley side, or the one on the right? Which street frontages are these two images?
I don't have a.
One on the right is Union Street.
I don't have the map. I believe the one on the right is Union Street.
And there,
A stair, remember it has that stair that goes up to that platform, and so I think that's the perpendicular to it.
Is that near the stair?
Yeah, I think that's on the one.
So that's what that sign is denoting, that from Union Street, you would walk up the stairs to go into the image that's on the left.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Oh,
Remember it has that kind of switchback stair that goes up to go to the, I live, just right over there.
Okay.
825 one.
oh, Warren.
Yeah.
I'm on.
Okay. That's clear, thank you. Any other,
So there are two signs,
Yep,
one on the alley, Cherry Alley, and one on Union.
I don't think it's actually Cherry Alley, it's kind of interior. Like, so it's a big building, and if this is Union, you kind of go up these stairs, and then there's like a little landing up there, and I think that's the other indicator for the entranceway. So you kind of go up the stairs to get to that.
What would you see that Agatha sign from if you were outside? Where would you see it?
Which sign, which are you referring to, Paul?
Go
The
up,
sign that says Agatha?
Oh.
Agatha that's just an example of the lighting. Agatha is not it's just a sample to show how the light bar would work.
All right, I'm sorry, I was confused. So that's the style lighting, and
Yep.
one of them would be hanging on Union Street.
Yep.
And the other would be hanging on, I thought it was, is it the alley, or where is it going to be?
Let me I'm gonna try to pull up a map real quick.
the parking area.
I'm gonna stop sharing, if you'd like.
I think it's technically still Union Street, but it's back.
Yeah.
It's upstairs and back.
I see,
yeah.
it doesn't go all the way to the alley
I don't.
No, it would be the east face of the
of the
building.
building, perpendicular to Union.
Mhm.
Right.
That's right.
All right.
Trying to work through that.
Interesting, it is kind of illuminated. I like it, I'm curious to see how.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's
The next
very,
section.
it's very cool. I mean, it's issue is that it not be too bright. I mean, I think it could be a very, very subtle way to light a, very modern and subtle way to light a sign. As long as it's not too bright.
Right, the way that the lighting is proposed is also tilted, so it only lights the top of the existing sign. So I mean, it is angled back, it's not directly down.
Right. So the light is gradated. Not as bright at the bottom of the sign. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's great.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to find the application complete, Jeremy, and second, John. Motion to request the city attorney to prepare a CBA. And Hugh and Miranda, all in favor? Are there any opposed? You're approved.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
A question on, I've got 326 Union.
Yeah.
Is that actually a continuation? Have they presented before?
No, they were supposed to present 2 weeks ago and it was a no-show.
Okay, I prefer we indicate that, they're not, what we've been trying to do, and I had an offline conversation with Chip on this, is to the degree that we can, and I know that we can, not use the second meeting for brand new applications. We, during COVID, we had to acknowledge that it was very, very difficult, if not impossible, to find contractors, to find materials, and we kind of bent it and pushed a lot of stuff into the second meeting, including new applications, which is the right thing to do in terms of public service. But it isn't always the right thing in terms of us doing our job. it would be nice if we go back to what Craig and I had agreed and what I believe is in our code, that the second meetings be focused on simply C of A votes and continuations of the conversation where there's some urgent pressure. That said, we agreed to do this, but I think going forward, we're going to be a little stricter. So 326, are you here?
I am here. Yes. Are you good with discussing it now, or are you asking me to come back in a couple weeks?
Not at all. I'm just being painful, because if going forward, I'd like the commission to have more time on two dimensions. One, to have the applications, Craig, I don't remember, I think it's 5 days, or some number of days ahead too, for a couple of reasons. One, to study the material, and two, we stopped doing something that we did back in the day, which was site visits, and they're fantastic. They add so much information. So I'm just complaining. No, welcome, okay. And go ahead with 326. All right.
So I think I don't know how many of you have been around and how it all works. We did get a COA approved a little over a year ago. As we were beginning our work, there was significant settling in our house and cracking. We did some structural analysis, and we've actually learned something since we made the application. If you can recall, there are effectively 3 areas of the building. There's the historic building, followed by something that was built a few years later, and then there's a garage that's been through many instances and some unused space in between. That second unit has no footings, and I'm not technical an architect, but has no footings, and the foundation is essentially non-existent, and that is bearing upon the original structure. And so because of that, something needs to be done to that new section. And what we're proposing is now taking that down, rebuilding it. At the same time, we rebuild the garage and then put a courtyard in. It's actually a simpler design than what was approved before. We've eliminated a roof deck, we've eliminated a spiral staircase, we've eliminated a walkway, and it is, like I said, simpler. From a design perspective, it's obviously more work and cost to us because we have to go fix this other issue. But in any event, that's where we are. There is no change to the front facade facing Union Street. And like I said, I think it improves functionality, aesthetics, as well as the usability of the space itself. So that's the overview.
So we can follow you with the drawings and stuff.
Yeah, do you have someone there have it, or would you like me to figure out how to bring it up?
Hi, Bruce, it's Jan.
Hey, Jan.
I want you to share which document. I have it lined up here. I can share
Yeah, I would start with maybe that, let's see, the appendix, try appendix 1.
Okay.
Let's see if that's the right one. It's the color. Okay. So there are three schematics here. On the top is and we can leave it on the first page here. On the top is the existing building, and on the bottom is the proposed. So this would be the ground floor. The purple, so as you go from left to right, obviously there's the building is a little set back. So we have a little bit of a very small yard followed by a porch, and then followed by the purple original structure. We will not make any change to the original structure other than a window that's going to be popped out on the second floor and maybe a little bit of interior work. So that effectively stays the same. As you move to the right, there's that red section. That is that two-story section that was not well constructed, that's failing and pushing upon the house. That's what we propose to be taken down. The orange section is a garage and some effectively unusable stalls on I believe also on that same poor foundation, which is settling as well. So you can see if you move down below, the pink would be the new addition, the green is a courtyard, and then the tan would be the garage. So that's sort of the overall concept. If you scroll down, this would be the second level. Simply put, there would be a above the, excuse me, I guess the red section does have that's the current one that'll come down, does have a second floor. We propose the pink being a second floor sort of above that same area, so it's very, very square, and then a second level above the garage. We did get a variance previously for a two-story garage, and we'd like that as well on this one.
Bruce, could you pull some pictures, just so we can locate this in visually the existing structure?
Yes. Jan, there's something called photos.
Yeah.
It's 4.
Is this right? Shoot, I think I have to stop sharing. Wait a second.
Yeah, and I'm. Okay, yeah, if you start from actually number 3, I think is the best. The third page is probably the best.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the front. Effectively, no change to that. If you go up a page and go down to the bottom, I think you're gonna get the best view. So as you go left to right, you have the garage, the second floor unit. That we will not replace that solar panel. That will go away and not come back. There's no reason for that 1950s solar panel. And then where your cursor is now, if you go right to the edge of there, that's where the old construction, the historic building starts, basically where the cursor is. So that from the cursor to the edge of the solar panel will come down. And when we rebuild, we're not going to rebuild at the same size. We're going to take back a couple of feet. So it's actually.
Say it again, what's getting demoed in this?
What's getting demoed is effectively, actually almost everything you see in this photo will get demoed, because the historic building is to the right of that. I think it's a gutter or a panel. Right there. So that comes down, and then call it midway or 2/3 the way through the solar panel is where the end of the new section will get built. Then there'll be a courtyard, and then the garage.
Garage is a separate structure now in the new design?
Correct. And that was the case of the prior design as well. I'm sorry?
Yeah. The question was, what had we approved a year ago, or whenever that was approved?
So what was approved a year ago was effectively keeping the structure below the solar panel, taking out the solar panel, making serious modifications to it, but not demoing it. So that whole section would be that you're circling there would be intact. The small building to the left in between the garage, that would have been taken down, and that would have been where the courtyard is. And then the garage, effectively where it is right now, built up into 2 stories.
And you chose not to implement that
because we have to do something about that other section, what you're looking at. It needs to either come down, or in some way that nobody has scoped, put a foundation and footing underneath it.
So if you pull up, Jan, what's called Appendix 5, original HPC application, there's some photographs. And those photographs, the rendering will probably jog the board's memory.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you have my notes on that too, but I think if you scroll to the bottom, there will probably be the photos.
Mhm.
To the bottom of this.
Yeah, keep going.
I remember the two-story garage.
So there we go. That was the current garage.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Good. That's the current garage. You scroll down some more. And we'll probably get, that's the same as,
Keep going.
okay.
Keep going.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Keep
Okay,
going.
keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. And we're gonna get some photos here.
That's what the board had approved originally. There was a connection
Correct.
between all the buildings and a second floor on the garage.
So you could think of that that garage will now just be, forget, there's not that stairwell. There isn't a roof deck on top. It will be, there isn't the notch either. It'll just be straight up. But very simple.
The entire second floor of the garage will span from property line to property line, side property to side property. Now,
That is true.
Do you have a rendering that shows that?
I can show you some. Let me see if I can share my screen, Jan, because I have something that'll show you that. Did that come up?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not up for me, but that's okay. So, oh, I see it. Sort of. Actually, it is not up for me. Oh, wait a second. Okay, I think I see it. Yeah, so that is effectively what it will look like. So it's does that make sense?
Yes.
And what is the siding? Is it wood?
It is whatever we were to do. I think between the architect, it will be wood of some sort. Yes. Yeah. I think this is representative. We're not going to make a change to what we were going to do before.
So we're basically approving the demolition of the back, so the structure can be rebuilt on a sound foundation, somewhat in like to what they had planned to do before, but then the biggest change probably is to the second story here.
yeah, and the courtyard that's between now, there's a space between the garage and the.
And that was approved before.
The courtyard was?
The courtyard was, yes.
But it's
Oh,
located
okay.
differently.
And it's larger.
This courtyard will be slightly larger, maybe 2 feet. It's not significantly larger.
If the other approval was over a year ago, it has no standing at this point.
I'm just questioning the ability to approve this without having the information on the windows, the siding, the materials.
No, Victoria, you're on the right track. As far as the commission is concerned, irrespective of the previous approved application, this is a brand new app. Which means it's got to be fully spec'd with material call outs and so on and so forth.
When was the last application?
I don't have it in front of me, I don't know the date, but he's putting through a new application, none of that work was done.
It was, oh, I don't know.
Well, it's.
I think it was in the fall of, what was it? No, it was January of 2022. I believe. So So when I talked to Craig, we had hoped that it would be an amendment of that, understanding that we had passed the year threshold of.
But even as an amendment, the windows are different. You know, the look is different. So I think we still need identification of the materials and window specifications.
It's a different project.
And how the rebuild is gonna happen.
It's just not the same project, guys. We're starting from a blank page.
And the addition to that original house, if you will, now that's all new construction. So we would need to see what that looks like.
And also you mentioned there's a new window in section A, the historic piece. I don't know if that was approved in the prior application, which kind of is null at this point, but that we need to revisit that as well.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, well, I was hoping to do it, by myself and just kind of go, but it sounds like you'd like our architects to get involved, and we'll do that.
It's not, we do like architects, but that wasn't.
No, I just am trying, I put a lot of time and money into this, obviously, and so was hoping to, to be able to, and I understand your perspective, so we'll do it. We'll do it your way.
You need your architect to present to us if that's what you need. You can get the application together and it's pretty descriptive about what you need to provide and present to us. By no means do we need you to bring an architect in.
But the specificity is gonna matter. We gotta go back and get call outs on materials, window specs.
Okay.
And so on.
Okay, so who can I work with to make sure that I get all the right information?
Craig.
Okay. I'll do that. All right. Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I'm sorry, didn't,
May I
yes,
just
go ahead, Chad.
one thing? If we are going to request a public hearing for this project, maybe we should introduce that into the schedule, into the applicant's schedule now, so that
For expectation.
we don't, exactly.
Are we? We need without having seen the application, I don't know that we have to, what are your thoughts on, public hearing down the road? It is a scheduling matter more than anything else. What do you guys think?
Until we see what.
I don't know what he's building, basically.
Yeah, I think we don't know. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm just suggesting that if we are going to do that, it's easier for the applicant now if we tell him now rather than the next time he's here. So
Consider the possibility that when you come back, it might take another 2 weeks after that, but we don't know that, I don't think, and I don't want to rule on that until we see the application. It's possible that we will find that this requires a public hearing, and we try to build that in as quickly as we can.
I mean, there were some other designs. I guess I'm not sure what you haven't seen, unless the idea is that you look at them during this meeting. I think it's conceptually, other than you don't have a photo like what I just showed, but I think it's pretty clear what this is going to look like based on the designs that we provided.
Assembling the pack for us to review, if you have stuff that can be adaptively reused, that's great. It saves you time and effort, but I'd like a complete pack when you come back.
So just so I'm sure, what was incomplete about this?
I don't see materials.
Okay.
elevation drawings of the addition.
Right. I mean, keep in mind that our concern is with the exterior of the building, so we need to be able to see what the sides and the front and the back of the building are gonna look like.
What specifically the windows will be, the doors will be, the siding will be, the exterior details will be on the garage, because that's a new structure. And then show probably a more accurate plan in terms of the size of the yard, all of those things.
Okay. Last we talked about the massing of the two-story garage, and we had a big.
The two-story
debate
garage,
about
I
that
believe.
last time.
Or is it? Yeah.
it's gonna be more massive now, so I think that was, I remember we talked about that last time, and so.
So I think there were some issues about the materials for the siding.
And touching the neighbors.
At one point, they had a corrugated metal and then they changed it. So we need to know what the materials are for the siding.
Okay. All right.
Good. Talk to Craig. He can show you what, in more specificity, what would go into it. You absolutely can call me at any time on help going forward. I'm not trying to slow you down, but we really are in a lot of ways starting from scratch, even though you can repurpose some of the stuff.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it was our hope that the materials, outside of the size of the garage, which I acknowledge is a little bit larger, everything else is effectively the same. I know you don't see it, and that if a more elaborate design was approved before we would get this one through. It sounds like that's not the case. I'll go and do what we need to do. So thank you.
Okay, and stay in touch. I'm assuming that we should be able to get you on the calendar from 2 weeks from today.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That is it. Jan, we got more?
That's it.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Any thoughts or are folks ready to go on with the rest of life journey?
I think we're ready.
Motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Second. Motion. We're adjourned.